So overall, we spoke about the email process and like receiving emails and some do's and don'ts according to myself. Um, not to say that it's by any means the right way or the wrong way. I just thought I'd give a little bit of a background on how I handle talking to clients and what I expectations, timelines, deliverables, all that sort of stuff. So once we spoke about that, we kind of spoke about the design process, which is it's important to have a plan from the start. So presentations and conceptual art and all the rest. And then we kind of just got to this point where we're talking about the process of creating. So we're kind of on the exciting part of the art process and making something cool for the client to really enjoy and approve and see. So yeah, I think we're going to dive into kind of just a few little things I do when I'm creating my from Photoshop to Illustrator component of the artwork. And yeah, we'll just go from there. I think ask questions if you have any questions about the business side or the art side. I'm pretty open book, so yeah, I think we'll jump into it there. Flynn, what do you reckon? Yeah. Okay. No, no, all good. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I'm your host for the day, and this will end bad. No, it won't. All right. So we spoke about a little bit of how we get to each stage of the artwork. Obviously, I'm in Illustrator at the moment, and I think I would like to say that the skills I have are kind of I would say medium on the scale of like from beginner to advanced. I like to keep things really simple. I like to keep the whole process really simple. I don't think drawing should be complicated. There's a lot of cool tools. There's a lot of cool stuff in Photoshop and Illustrator. Whether or not you want to use them, that's entirely up to you. But I'm just going to show you a quick kind of overview of how I get to a certain point. My Photoshop stuff is really loose, really like sketchy all the time. We spoke about yesterday that I went from sketch to kind of refined art in Photoshop, and then I colored it because I just felt like coloring it. Usually, I don't do the color process in Photoshop because it can delay the process, I guess. But for this one, I was enjoying drawing this little guy, so I just gave him a bit of color. And yeah, I would send that to the client, get that approved, get colors approved, all that sort of stuff. But usually I wouldn't. I'd usually just give a black and white artwork similar to something like this, but a little looser. So I think today I'm just going to show you a quick little, I think we're just going to work on one part of this guy because we've already got all the vector files prefabbed, just like a cooking show. You know, we've got a switch out.
I think my mic might be working now. Let us know. Dale can hear me the whole time, but
yeah,
apparently it wasn't coming out. So
I can definitely hear you. Yeah, let us know. And like I said, ask questions. Don't ask questions. I would try to make this as fun and informative as possible. But we're just going to talk about kind of the Illustrator process. Outside, we're going to just leave Photoshop where we got to yesterday. So if you want to check out the stream from yesterday, feel free. We'll just keep going on this one. So I'm going to talk about this little going from this Photoshop render to Illustrator version, which I guess you choose which you prefer better. I just like Illustrator to be my final standing point because that way I can, scale it up and down without any problems and switch out colors really quickly. Quicker than I can in Photoshop. So here we go. We'll just work on a little bit of this. I think maybe his head will focus on.
Nice. My mic is working, thankfully. So
Awesome.
I'll just jump in real quick. Hi, everyone. Thanks for everyone in chat for helping me out, letting me know it wasn't working. And hope that you guys were all tuned into some of the Adobe Max LA stuff. That's basically what I was blabbering on about at the start. I can see that some people are probably, the London Adobe Max stuff. There were tons of announcements, so go check it out. And we will be covering it a little bit later in the week as well. But we're hanging out with Dale today and continuing on where we were See, it's better when my mic doesn't work. I'm just going to shut up. Let's just listen.
No, that was good. People need
you.
to know this stuff. Look, I haven't been. I didn't check too much of the Mac stuff out, so I'm gonna have to do a catch up or watch some of the streams about what's going on. So, but for the minute, I will not be showing any new tricks. I'll be showing you all the tricks that have got me to this part of my career, which feels like it's been forever, but it works. The system works.
That's right.
All right, so here's our little guy. I've got a lot of windows open on the side here. Most I don't need, so I might just shut some of these or get them out of here because we definitely don't need these.
Nice.
What else do we not need? We probably that's pretty good. Anyway, I try to keep things kind of clean, but you know, as an artist, you want to, but it doesn't always go to plan. All right, so all I do is I bring my little artwork, my render from Photoshop that I've already scribbled out here, and he looks pretty good. Like I said, that this is probably the exception of most of my work. I was in a weird state of mind where I thought I'd just carry on the drawing process. So I'll take that artwork, bring it into Illustrator, just drop him in, and just drop the opacity down so I can still see him clear enough, but I can draw over without being too distracted. I would like to say this is probably really refined already, except that it's Photoshop and it's like with a charcoal or like a pretty gritty pencil. But for the sake of this, we're just going to use it, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about just how I use the certain tools to achieve things, and then my process after I've got my outline, and how I handle the file through to completion.
You might be getting to some of these in this chat. We've got 2 questions, so let us know if you're going to get to this, because Harrison's asking, what are your tips for shaping shading, and how do you choose the darker shade for the shadow? So that might be something that you're covering, or do you want to answer now? Or?
I can talk about it now. I think, seeing as we've got our guy already at that stage, I can show you.
Yep.
I think with picking the colors for the tones and stuff, that kind of goes without saying that it should just be like higher or lower of the value that you've picked as your base. You can see these two are kind of, you know, worlds apart, but very similar. And it's only because we've got that darker gray, darker skin tone, darker blue, stuff like that. The only way I have ever really decided where shadows sit and stuff like that is the classic like light source,
I like that.
You know, creating a light source. So obviously when I move the light, I'm in Illustrator, it's not going to change where it's not going to change.
I was about to be blown away if the
imagine wait for the Adobe Max that comes out and they drop that little bombshell. That'll be next level. But for the minute, it's all very traditional. It is very much, you know, you are the master of kind of that light. You're let's call it the higher being on this one. So I just place a light source like this wherever I feel would add the most value, I guess. Is that
that makes sense. Is it always on the left? Do you ever change it around? I guess you could always just flip the canvas if you wanted to change.
I guess my theory would be whatever direction your artwork is facing. So I would imagine if I had that over here, it would just be a lot of dark tones, and it might, I don't know, it could add a cool effect to the artwork. It depends on what you're kind of doing. You know, but I like it on this side because I feel like it's, you know, it's lighting up his face. His smile looks really bright. It's kind of like, it's very welcoming. This is a business after all, and we're trying to not, you know, make any like scary movie scenes where it's like, you know, the torch from the bottom of the face where you start looking real creepy.
Below,
Yeah, so I just set a light source, and it can be anything. I just drew a little sun, but you can just do some arrows. I used to even just draw some lines, like, you know, some guidelines where I know I can see direction completely, you know, across, and, you know, maybe you want the light to be quite broad, you know. Just picture it like a spotlight, basically. That's how I envision it. And then just use it as a guide. There's a lot of things that don't make sense in it to me, and I still look at it and go, oh, but it would be cool if there was just a little bit of a darker point here. I put it in. No one's going to really like
Yeah, so there's a little bit of wiggle room there. It doesn't have to be like mathematically correct when you're doing
Yeah,
the shadow.
look, it depends on the artwork, right? If you're trying to be anatomically correct, and I guess like you want all that artwork to look like a photorealism artwork, then yes, be very particular. But
Yeah.
we're doing like a mascot, like a cartoon version of a human, and the guy's quite round and he's got eyes that don't have like it's just a big black eye, so there's nothing really serious at the moment. So yeah, the light matters, but in this case for this project, I wouldn't say that it matters too much.
Yeah. Cool.
Because obviously the shadow would be over here, wouldn't it? If we
It'd be
to
over a little bit more, I suppose.
but
Yeah.
but I definitely think it looks nicer to me to be here because of my end goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
Got it.
Thank you, Harrison.
Yeah, cool question. We did have another one, just from
Yeah,
Kane as well.
Sure.
What are some of the main tools you use to make a drawing like this? Do you mostly work with the pen tool or the pencil tool for a more organic feel?
Okay, well, we're going to go through that right now, so I can just walk through each tool the way I think I use it the best, and why I would think that that's the case to use.
Cool.
So I briefly touched on the use of the pencil tool. Flynn, is that close enough? I know the screen sometimes. Yep.
No, that's good. Thank you. Yeah, it's always good to be zoomed in a little bit. So
yeah. All right, so this is just the pencil tool. So it's the standard pencil tool. You can see it there, N on the keyboard. And I kind of like, sometimes I take a lot of time on, like, it depends on what my plans are for the night, to be honest. If I know that I've got other things going on, I might just go, really quick, get these lines, and I'm this is no word of a lie, I might go this fast just to get like an overall shape. And obviously I can see there's like a lot of parts that don't add up or work. So as I draw, I'm just going to, sorry, no, I shouldn't do that. I'm just going to cut his head off here. We won't talk about the whole artwork there. We'll just, sorry, it's better if I meet at the anchor point there. So once that circle appears, it locks in and it becomes one line.
Yeah.
We can see it's all over the place. I can see that the artwork is quite, like, compared to where all my lines are, it's not a lot falling into place. So I might just get the pencil tool and draw over some of these areas and kind of like manipulate that line with the pencil tool to get it closer, like to just, get them lines a bit closer to where they need to be. Otherwise, I just get it as close as I can with the pencil tool, and then I start drawing off that. So
I think just that little thing is something that a lot of people do miss, that you can do with the pencil tool. When you have it selected, you draw a little bit closer. You can just kind of redraw that. I think a lot of people do miss that, because I see it like demoed quite a bit, and often people are like, "Whoa, I didn't know you could actually do that."
Yeah, so I think it's kind of hit and miss. So sometimes if you like, it'll draw a separate line. So if you do have to be careful. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. But if you do get it start on the path and end on the path, it brings it back into that area. So like, it knows that the line has to continue because you've drawn it from line to line. It's not like you've deviated off the path or anything.
Yeah.
But it depends on how long you want to spend. So I can go in and like, I could fix this whole thing and make these lines a bit more, pronounced, and there's a joint here, I know there is, so I can either leave it like that, or I can go in and start like really fixing it up and getting it into, so that I can get some curved lines later on with another tool, or whatever the case may be. But the pencil tool is really cool because at the end of it all, I'm not gonna fuss too much with the details here. Sorry, I was trying to move the screen. I'll fix this little bit of the hat, so I'll just go run it from there, back on track, hit the other path, and it should bring it in.
Nice.
So it's quite a intuitive tool. It's very it's got its pros, it's got its cons. It's like every other tool across the suite, like they can have their flaws, but if you use them, kind of like with the thought pattern that, okay, it might need work after that, then put your expectations low, and you don't get disappointed. I think that's but I can't fault. I think the brush is designed to do what it's like. It does what it's designed to do. It's also up to the user to kind of use it to their advantage. So I'm just gonna go through and make some of these adjustments.
Nice.
So this is it's just a floating head. All right. So the reason I do this is, and I would do this over the whole artwork. I'd create like an outline where basically it is going in and doing these so that I can have a base plate of the artwork. So, and the base plate being my base color. And if I do it with the pencil tool, of course, we know you just click on it, you can select the color, and it's that easy, right? So I like to have it with the pen tool. It makes it a lot easier than grabbing. I'm going to talk about the blob tool in a second and explain the difference. But when I do it this way, it's one click, one change. Everything's kind of one click, so I can change the stroke to be around. If I click up here and I change the cap and the corner to round, I get a really nice soft edge, and I can make it a bit thicker. Obviously, we spoke about that really quickly yesterday, but I like to have a thick outline and then thinner detail lines. I think that's just classic cartoon, especially for this project. It's very like well suited for the project, but I also like to change the stroke alignment to the outside. I think it just looks a lot easier and easier. It looks a lot nicer, and it does change. So if you look at this part in particular, so this part here where my cursor is, when you do it outside a line, I think it holds truer to your original line. When I put it on the inside or it's center aligned, it kind of like it gets all these weird kinks and weird, like, because it's putting a path on in the middle. It's just like it's doing its it's doing its thing and just putting lines haphazardly. And I think the outside just gives it more control, and you can see it's more following my artwork a lot more true to the artwork. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because that's where you've drawn the line.
Correct. Yeah. So I prefer it that way. Some people just leave it. I hardly use inside for this exact reason. Like, I don't know why I decided to do that, but I know that it's perfect to what I want, and I can then go in and continue on my other lines. So the pen tool for my outline is always really useful. I know a lot of guys use the paintbrush tool for their detail lines. A lot of guys use pencil with a brush or a stroke attached to it. So like mine's just set to basic, but you can go in here and you can play around and get some pretty good like differentiating lines and things like that. But I just like things really clean. It's always been my style, so I focus on that that side of it. So that's the pencil tool. So what I'll do, I'll just move this guy up because we're gonna want to get rid of it. And the other side of this was the blob tool, and I spoke about that yesterday about how much I use it. I think it's really handy. It's pressure sensitive. It's just up here. It's called the blob brush. So Shift B. It's kind of, the difference is that it's not a path. It's creating an image or a solid object, opposed to having a path. So we can't play with the path alignment or round corners and things like that. So it's kind of like one of those, I'm really confident. I'm just going in with the blob tool and I'm going to do the whole artwork. So I do Shift B. I've got it selected already. You can double click it and get a bit of, again, I'm using a tablet. So if you do have a tablet, the blob tool's really handy. If you're using a mouse, it's probably not great. I should have made that a little bit of a disclaimer. It's it still works. You can still do like whatever, the blob tool still works, but I've got pressure sensitivity set, so I'll just set it to 4 and 4. So it's got the ability to kind of go between this line and that line, like it's very, and that's just me like holding down and then pressing. I've got that ability to get text tapered lines and things like that. I think it's great because it feels like I'm in Photoshop, and Photoshop is the most natural thing for me to feel like I'm back on paper. So this is Illustrator's way of giving us like a vector version.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it just draws it as a shape. So as I draw, it becomes a shape, opposed to using the pencil. When I draw, it's a line that can be altered in size and shape.
Yeah.
Right. So I can't do that with the blob tool. So it's, again, pros and cons in both forms. But if I was going to do the blob tool to do a quick demo of this, I would just go. Sorry, pardon the. I feel like there's like a little bit of lag on my machine, probably because of the stream, but it's.
Yeah, which makes it hard when you've got like smoothing and stuff on, right? Like it.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a delay, but you can see like the blob tool is I just use it exactly like a pencil or a text or whatever. It's pretty accurate. Like it's not doing like whether the pencil tool decides whether or not like that's a corner or it isn't a corner.
Yeah.
The blob tool is pretty much where you go, the line goes. So if I decide that his cheek should be that fat, it's not gonna blow out any like further than like do those weird lines that happen. So the beauty of it is that it does feel like you're kind of working traditionally again, where it's, you know, you've got
like working with like heavy ink or something. Like,
yeah, correct. So it's nice, it's good. So the difference in those two files, two paths, they're not even two paths, two images. So we've got that is our stroke, and you can see I can just go click, make it bigger, make it smaller, easy. This one, I've got no option for that. Of course, I can go in and make an additional, like, you know, I can grab with the direct group, I can just grab the edge and I can make a path, like I can turn it into a path now.
Right.
But now it's like I've taken multiple steps to get to that point, you know. So it's either you pick one or the other. I don't live by one or the other. I just think these are the ones that I use the most. This is obviously a lot cleaner when I use a pencil tool, and the blob tool is more natural looking. So you can see a lot of imperfections in the joints and the angles and things like that. So when I color this one, heaps easier. I just double click and I can put whatever color we want in there. When I do the blob tool to fill it, I have to go click, and then I have to click the inside. I copy. So I'm just clicking the internal path. So I'm clicking that internal path. I copy and I paste, and I've got like the ability to change the color now. So it takes a couple more steps. A couple more steps might only mean a couple more minutes, but time is money, and I don't know, you need to sometimes think what's the quickest way for you to achieve a desired look. So that I kind of flick between the two. I definitely do use both, but for this I'm going to talk about some techniques for using pencil and blob together.
Yeah, cool. Just we got a question in chat. Left Coast Graphics, I assume on YouTube, has asked this question. Can you add a stroke? I think he did. I think that must be referring to when you use the blob tool. Could you add a stroke? I think you did.
Yeah.
Do you want to just show us
Yeah. So that's the blob tool, this one here. So we can see it's a blob because that's the path up here. The path is obviously singular line, red anchor points. This is our blob tool, creates two. You're definitely right. I can click on this on the outside, and I can add a path.
That's with the direct selection tool.
Yeah,
so you're
correct.
able to add. Yeah, you're able to just select that outer
yeah,
path.
so I can select the outer, but I was just going to say this. So when I add a path, it actually adds it to both still. So it still reads it as, while I'm selected and I add a path, a stroke, it puts it on the inside and outside. So my only solution to that is, and that's what I was saying, I click the outside with the, I didn't even say that, the group selection. So I'm grabbing that.
Group selection, right.
Yeah. So I'm grabbing that whole path, and then I'm copying it. I'm doing Command F, and I place it in place, I just turn it to a stroke only, take away the fill. I'll put it on the outside like I did the other one, and I can do exactly what we spoke about. But we're talking about what's the quickest way to do something, or what's the more efficient way. That this is by no means the incorrect way. I've done it before on a couple of jobs, and you can do it. I'm just trying to show the better way to a better use of your time, I guess. But definitely you can add the stroke, but you need to make sure that you've grabbed the outside only, and when you press Command F or Command F, it will paste that into place, and then you can see it as this is what it looks like. So it's grabbed the whole thing, and that's to the outside line. And then I just convert that to just stroke only, and you can see there I've got stroke only in red.
Nice.
So you can definitely add a stroke, but I think this makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, not the right, not the wrong. It's just what I'm used to.
That's awesome. That's a great breakdown. And Kane in chat also said the pencil tool for me is a really nice approach. You explained this so well. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Kane. Yeah, awesome. All right, so now I've got again, I'm just focusing on the head. It's weird because I'm still thinking I'm doing the whole body, so like there's a lot more to this.
Yeah.
But the principles still, like, they stand. So I can from here I've got my path selected kind of thing. If I need to go in and amend anything, this is the time to do it. While it's just the outline, I can get all the shapes back into where they belong. I can see that like the top here should come in a bit, tweak it a little bit. I can even use the direct selection tool if I think it's only like a tiny bit, or like there's a heap of strokes, because obviously the pencil tool adds as many as it needs to. You can go in and simplify the stroke, the anchor point, sorry. But for this, I'm just going to leave it. So you can go in and do a anchor by anchor point. But I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to get the pencil tool again. I'm going to just make a few little adjustments to this because we've got a little bit of time. I can take the time to do it.
Nice.
Whoops. Okay,
I'm gonna leave
it on a smaller stroke because I don't know why it does that, but whenever it's on the outside stroke, it plays a little bit funny. So if I just put it back to here, I can get it all back to,
Yeah, it like defaulted back to the middle one anyway itself, didn't it, just then? That was an interesting quirk. I haven't seen that before.
Look, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen when you're doing it live. Yeah. And you've got no explanation for it. But yeah, I can spend you can spend hours trying to get this perfect. But I think this, for the sake of what we're doing, that's our outside shape. We're pretty happy with it. Now I can go in and I could use the pencil tool for all of this. So I could go in and start doing all my line work. I could just do all of this like that. The reason I won't is because as much as I want to have like the ability to have a thin line and stuff like that, I still want to have that feeling of like it's been hand drawn. And the second I start using too many like of the like the pen tool, so I could do it with the pen tool, right? It starts losing like a little bit of its like fluidity, I guess. Like it's not as smooth as like a draw. It's too smooth and it starts to feel like it's very computer generated. Sounds silly to say, but I like to do my inside lines with the Blob tool.
Yeah.
And that's because I do have like a lot of these parts that have to taper. So when I do this, I'm just gonna quit my email because I can hear it going off. And
is it binging and like?
Yeah, so it's
in the background. I do that. I do that sometimes. Yeah.
All right, so
it's distracting. Just a couple of clients.
Yeah, just like, where's my mascot that you've been working on for years? All right, so I've got the Blob tool, and I'm just gonna do a couple of these lines. So again, the stream's kind of lagging this a little bit, but I'm going to try to do it the best I can. So And you can see already by just this one little part
Yeah.
that
It's got that really nice tapered edge.
yeah, it's a bit rough, but and again, this is just for demo purposes. I could see a few little issues there with the line work on there. But what I was gonna say is, as I draw, you can see that that's my path. So that's my outline,
Yeah.
and then that's my blob tool. So they're working in two different worlds at the moment. That's not the biggest problem. And even if I was to go in and make this path a little bit wider, it doesn't really affect those internal lines. It just is adding that more bold look. So it doesn't bother me too much that like they work independently either, because the outline is the only part I want to ever change the thickness depending on scale of the artwork. But with the blob tool, if you do have a few of these issues, you can again go back into the pencil tool and we can do the same thing we did before, and we can redraw some of these lines and it will clean it up. So we can clean up those
just
lines.
The pencil tool again, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. And we can get that tapered line a bit more tapered, or I'll revert back to what it looked like. So that's what it looks like cleaning it up with the pencil tool a bit. You can see it's cleaned it up. Obviously, there's a few of these edges that, because of the little bit of lag, it's like pressing, and that pressure sensitivity is like very prominent.
Yeah.
That's the least of your worries. But if I go back and I've got it, yeah, like that.
Nice. I'm just checking in with chat as well. What's up? Alessandra has made it in. And Jeremy Lord is in chat as well. Hello, Jeremy. Streaming in the chat.
G'day, Jeremy.
Says, looking good, Dale, and also has a question for you. Are you using pressure sensitivity with that, or is it a specific brush profile?
No, that's pressure sensitivity. So the brush tool, the blob tool is just I'll open it up over here, guys. So that's the brush tool settings that I'm on. Nothing fancy, just pressure, and that's it. We can go in there and play around with this stuff, but if it's not broken, I don't fix it. It's
that's it.
So yeah, I can also tidy up those edges with the smooth tool, and maybe some of them might be too much. The smooth tool can do so much. It can it eliminates some of those anchor points, which is always good for file handling. If you work on this part enough, you can probably get it smooth back to, you can see I just worked that part, and it went from how many anchor points to 2. So you can knock some of those off. It makes it a smoother line. It also, like I said, if you don't know, now you do that. More anchor points means larger file size. Larger file size means more problems. So try to keep them down all the time. You can see this little speed hump here. I've got the curve tool. I'm just running it kind of in the direction of that shape. I'm just getting bigger. And look, it's not always going to be perfect, but all this stuff takes time. But there you go. So you can use the curve tool, and it does the same kind of fixes the pencil tool did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. And now I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to keep doing this little rough artwork.
Nice. And chat, if you got any questions as we go along, like our good buddy Jeremy just had, feel free to throw them in. Had some great questions earlier on as well from Kane and Harrison. So yeah, feel free to throw them in. We are live. Happy to answer questions. It's always fun if you've got any as we're going through. We also had a question from Left Coast Graphics as well. So thank you for everyone that asked questions. It's always fun when we're doing a live stream to get your questions answered. As we blob along with the blob tool.
Yeah, blobbing along. Alright, so I'm just drawing this pretty loosely. Oh, sorry. I just pressed some shortcut to something I didn't.
Something like massive.
Something rather
I do that
large.
often in Photoshop. Like I'll select some particular brush, but I've obviously used it to do some sort of soft gradient on the outside, and it's at
Yeah.
like 400 pixels or something, or 400 points.
Or when you you download like a brush pack, and you don't realize that they set all their brushes to like 3,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
none of my brushes are working. It's because they've just exceeded the screen limit.
Yeah, they're like off the screen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is this is not going to take long to get to where I'm trying to get to, Flynn. So apologies. I'm just
No, you take your time.
continuing the drawing process. This little bit of lag is it's testing me, but we're getting there.
That's it. And I guess just while we're talking on brushes, is there any particular like brush like packs or anything that you get? Are you of the thinking that you kind of try to be good at like one or two brushes and that's it, or do you try lots of different ones, or where you are?
I actually I had a phase where I felt like I was buying a lot of brushes. Like, I'm sure the guys that made them were stoked because they were never really that cheap.
Yeah.
I never really. I like I say all the time. I'm a creature of habit. I like what I like, and usually I'm just like I like the base brushes. Like, I think we're now at a point where there is a lot of artworks and stuff being generated that are very like texture heavy, and I don't know, is grungy the term? I feel like that's not the term, but it's gone so far past like brushes that it's almost like you press one brush and the whole artwork's done. That's what it feels like to me.
Right.
So I went through a phase where I always thought that the True Grit stuff was really cool, and they had a whole bunch of actions and brushes that were really cool. And then I just kind of like I fell off a little bit. I was just a little bit like, oh, you know what? I just like doing drawings the way I do it, and I think it's great that we have these resources now, because for the longest time, people were just like, no, this is how I do it. No one's going to ever know how I do it. And now people are just so open to like, hey, download this brush pack and draw like Art by Dale. Like it's great because it's giving everyone a go to be, it's giving everyone a chance to really like hone in on their styles and stuff. But yeah, for me, I'm kind of like, I don't really use that many brushes. I used to create brushes in Illustrator for myself, and then I just found out that there was better ways to do things.
Right.
better use of my time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I get that. Do you find yourself printing your illustrations a lot? This is another question from Kane. Thanks for the question. Yeah, so do you print your stuff a lot?
No, not at all. Actually, I am the least proactive with my own art. I think, is that safe? Like it's not that I don't want to or I can't or there's ever an issue. It's just that my artworks are never complete as far as I think. So that I don't find myself printing much of my stuff, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I always like getting like clients sending me like finished artworks and things like that. Like it's always puts a smile on my face to see it finished and complete. But no, unfortunately not.
But you'll have quite a few clients that need their stuff printed, right? Like, do you hand that over and you're not really involved in the printing process?
I'm involved if there's a problem, which is pretty standard. I think the printers will always approach the artist because client is generally a little bit less educated across that stuff. So I haven't really ever had a client where I say, hey, I'll sort out the printing for you. Like, I've got plenty of guys that can do it, but I leave it up to them because most people, they're on budgets and things and they've already sourced those things. So I give them all the suggestions and they're like, hey, why don't you print it on this stock? And, if you need a printer, we got a printer, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, it stops at mock-ups and final like file handover, really.
Yeah.
I
was just thinking back to like all of our streams. I think you did some shirts though.
Yeah, I did some shirts. We did some shirts for the late night one. I think I had the coffee cup.
I've still got that shirt.
Same. I got that one, and we did a skateboard together. So we've done. Yeah, it does happen. It's just and it's always more exciting when it happens. Like
Yeah, it's cool to hold something in your hand, like have a
Tangible. Anything is what I live for. You know, like I'd much rather hold on to something or go into a shop and try it on before I live in the digital world for too long.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got back to this little guy. I've roughly drawn out this artwork, and the combination of what was it, a pencil tool, sorry, and the blob tool.
Blob. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't always work at this point. It doesn't help me in any way, shape, or form. I guess moving forward, if I was here and I had got to this point, I'd be like, okay, cool, I've got this artwork. I might just make another artboard down here let's just create a little artboard down here for this little demonstration. So copy. All right, so I've got my little head here. So we know we've got the artwork drawn in like semi-final kind of line work. It's rough. We could definitely go in and clean some stuff up, but I want to keep this show moving. So what I will do, I know there's solid blacks like the eyes, and I know that because I've used the blob tool on this mouth part, in essence it should have all joint, so you can see all the joins where they
right,
they all, so I drew them all those lines separate, but as you draw with the blob tool, I'll do it in wireframe mode so you can see it. If I want to extend that line, it's going to be it attaches to it and continues that line. You're not getting like overlapping, like so if I choose a different color though, you will see it won't. It's just proved me wrong. See, if I use another color, it's you can't see the color. Yeah, but in the white, so I've got green there. The green won't touch the black, so the blob tool will only merge with its own color. Like it's a very clicky tool. It's it doesn't hang out with other colors. But yeah, so if it's another color, I can go in and I can, like, if I wanted to, I could color all this part with the blob tool and treat it like a Photoshop brush. I'm pretty sure that I'm safe when it's a different color, that's not going to connect to anything. And then I can just go straight. I can send that straight to the back, and I can start coloring. I can color like that, and that's one form of coloring and things like that. So,
and can you cut back with just the eraser tool?
Yeah, absolutely. So on my my Wacom, I've got obviously the stylus, and it's got the eraser on the back. I just flip it over, and I can just erase chunks, and then
convenient.
And then I just get rid of the sketchy parts that.
And it will only erase what you have selected, I assume.
Yeah,
is that what I saw?
Correct. Yeah. So if I try to erase that, so you can see my erasers selected. If I run a thing through there, I'm going to get a whole bunch of things happening because there's a pencil tool happening there. There's the blob tool, and there's multiple colors. So you can see it's done. It has like that. This black line is there because it's rubbing out my path. It's a part of my path and stuff. So you need to grab in here and kind of just like that way you can see it won't interfere with anything else. Yeah, so that's pretty convenient. That's kind of where we're heading with this. So I know that with the blob tool, all blob tools lines that are the same color are now one object. They're treated as one object. So I can go in and go, all right, well, I want that to be black. Just select the inside line, the inside path, with again my group selection. As you can see, just delete that, and I can have my black. And then I'll just go into wireframe and see what's going on. And I might just knock this back with the eraser. Oops. See, I just fell for my own. I didn't select it. So I might want to add or remove. So I can just do that, and then you can see just the additions always merge into that color.
Nice.
So it's quite handy. So if I've got black parts, I'll just go in now and I'll go, all right, I want that to be solid black. I'll just remove it so it's one big shape. I know it's not going to change color. The hair, So here's where it gets tricky. I can't go into the hair and just say I want that selection, because I've got a path and a blob tool. The blob tool is never touched, so that's an open. It's just an open gate, really. There's nothing that it can fill.
Yeah.
So there's two ways I could do it. I could go Shift B and just get my blob tool and meet there, and you can see it's closed the path, closed the blob tools object now. So now I can grab just that. So it's pretty easy. I can do it that way, and I'll do a copy paste in place, so that maybe I want to change that hair color along the way, and he's gonna have red hair. So that's one way to do that. Otherwise, I'd just change it black and remove that, and it'll be like the mouth and stuff where it's just solid black. But if it's editable or you want it to be, make sure it's always got like another kind of object selected within, so you can place it in and run the color whatever you want. So here I'll do the same thing. The tongue, I select the internal path, copy, paste in place, send to back. I send it to the back, so it's, just safer back there. Give it a color, and it's got the color in there, and you can see it's a perfect fit. There should be no room for any white spaces between it, because we've done a copy and paste in place. Illustrator will place that tongue straight into the path's location. There should be no shift or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and it's Command F, that one, isn't it?
Command F. So paste in place is Command F. So I might do it to the teeth as well. Do copy, Command F. I'll just drop a white on it, or I might just drop a different color so we can see. And then I can keep going around. Again, there's no, these paths aren't joining. So I guess you could do all your coloring now. I would only focus on the blacks at this point, because I know the blacks are solid. And then what I would do, I'm just going to get rid of all these colors that we just dropped in, and I'm going to explain what I would usually do. So I always want my working file to be workable, I guess. So I know I've shot myself in the foot a little bit by using the blob tool, because I can't just say, hey, maybe this line needs to go down half an inch or something, because if I try to move that down, I'm going to grab all that stuff that touched each other and they're all one. So not the end of the world, because like we said, all I do is just erase. I just cut it there, and I'll cut it here. I grab my direct selection tool or group selection. I grab that path, get rid of it, and I can redraw it. And
also say that we've only got about 5 minutes, actually 4 minutes left.
Oh, that's all right. All right. Well, let's just get this going. So anyway, to get to the color point, I'll have my artwork kind of like built, and then what I do, I grab it, I copy it, I leave this one as a raw file. I'll just go to expand, object expand, this appearance, and then I'll just grab, so that's expanded the path and the blob tool stuff. I'll just merge it all together with Pathfinder, and now I've got one whole object that's all the same, kind of like, you know what I mean? It's all one thing now. So now I can go in and select all those inner paths and change all the colors that I need to, and it's that easy. Yeah. So now I've got like a heaps easier file to work with, and then basically it's just creating that whole artwork and doing that exact process to get to this point with the colors. And then when I'm working on shading, it's basically just adding the shading into these parts and creating paths, like putting a bit of dark color on top. Oh, that's the same color. So add whatever color it is. Sorry, I'm trying to go really quick now, which is fine. And here we go. You can do the Pathfinder. It does a compound, a cutout, and then I can put that straight on top of the color here. It'll lock into place. Put my color back in, and we'll do it red. There you go. So that one's a real quick trick to just get these paths happening, and yeah, just keep working those layers and lighting angles using that light source, and yeah, Bob's your uncle.
And that's it. And the
Yeah,
Bob's your
it's
uncle. I love that. And then you can just kind of cut back as you showed before, like with the pencil tool and
yeah,
stuff to kind of get that
yeah,
angles and everything. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so and that's it. And then yeah, we've got your final artwork. You present it to client. They're happy. They take it away, and yeah, I'll chuck up on my Instagram the final result of this artwork, and you can check it out there.
awesome. We'll drop. You should be in the episode description of Dale's Instagram. If not, Johanna will throw it in chat for us as well, so you can click that to go on through if you're not already following Dale. Dale Bigeni, thank you so much for hanging out with us on Adobe Live.
Thank you, Flynn. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we'll have you back on down the track again. Thank you, everybody. As a reminder, if you've missed any of the Adobe Max London stuff, go check it out. There's a whole bunch of announcements. We'll be talking about it later in the week here. But until then, we'll see you next time. See you next time, Dale.
Thanks, Flynn. See you later.